Welcome to Raise High here at George Washington University. Coach Caputo, you got to look at some highlights, and then we're going to talk about what a great win at George Mason, George's Army traveling. But first, let's look at these highlights. Coach, it's an amazing weekend. You fought St. Louis. You go to George Mason, big road win. George's Army was here on Saturday. Now the students are back, but they traveled to the Patriots Center.
Yeah, I got to thank George's Army. It was incredible to come off the bus and for our guys to see George's Army there, that type of support. I think it really gave them a boost just walking into the building knowing that that type of support was there.
How about your feeling in the building? You have the banner hanging up there. I saw the band leader come over and say.
There were several banners in there, Jimmy. Yes.
Several banners. And the band leader came over and hugged you. In other words, it's an emotional move, but it's also a proud moment.
Yeah, I was excited to be back and saw a number of our former players, which was great. A lot of friends, supporters of George Mason's program. So it was great to be back. I would also say, I really don't want to walk back in there again without Coach L's name on the floor.
That will be the next thing. We were fortunate to have
not my decision, clearly, but
it's good if you can use your media power to influence that, and it should with his 700 wins and now the Hall of Fame coming. Gary Williams, I was there when it's a process. I do want to talk about this. Martin Luther King, obviously the movement, the holiday, what he meant. The speech was made right here.
Yeah.
Also, if you could give us two answers: one, what it meant to your players, and two, is this becoming almost like Christmas Day, where it's a huge basketball day?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously it's a holiday that is an excellent one to observe, but also the fact that our campus is really the closest place, closest school to where the I Have a Dream speech was given, and I think I've taken recruits to the Lincoln Memorial and, always go right to that spot where the speech was given, how impactful that's been, in our society. And so for me, I think it's great that we play on that day. We should be playing on that day.
Yeah, the Warriors played the Wizards on that day.
Yeah,
in other words, there was a million games on TV.
Yeah.
It's impactful because so many young people have taken advantage to get scholarships, to play college basketball, both men and women's.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take away from the pride of the day, but it is an important basketball day.
No question. I think it's great that we're branding it that, bringing awareness to the holiday. Doing it on national television is so important to get it out there. So I'm glad that we got to wear the T-shirts. I was excited to wear the T-shirt and try to do our best to represent Dr. King as best we could.
Immediately was my first text. How come I didn't get my T-shirt? Because
we have a few back there for you.
No, but it was great. It was a great atmosphere over there. But it's still a road win. That's your second road win.
Yeah, in league play. Yeah.
In league play. I mean, that's hard to do.
I think it's one of the hardest things to do in all of sports is to win on the road in conference play. And so, we've been fortunate that we had two very good performances at Loyola and now at Mason. They're not easy. I mean, it comes down to the last plays, but I'm really proud of our guys, kind of bouncing back and putting together, quickly a very good game plan and performance.
After a tough loss to St. Louis, who's a top 25 team coming into the preseason.
Yeah.
Okay, St. Louis, Dayton, VCU are clearly right there. You're in the next spot. You're tied for fourth. That's a great year, but we got a lot of work to do. But you showed against St. Louis, had a little bit of a stumble there coming out in the second half, fought all the way back, had a chance to tie the game, and then go and beat George Mason on the road. Very successful weekend, in my opinion, as a coach. To fight back against St. Louis. If you can tell everybody about the fight back.
I've never been involved in a game. 14-0 run from us in the first half.
Yes.
25-0 run for them into the second half. And I did call two. I like to hoard my timeouts, but I called two of them to try to stop the bleeding.
The zone. You was trying to solve the zone.
I was trying to figure it out. But then we go then on a 25-10 run, cut it to 2 points. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, Jimmy. It's rare that you're involved in 14-0. It's certainly rare that you're involved in 25-0. It's rare that you're involved in 25-10 in a season, let alone in one game.
In one game.
So it was kind of a strange game in that sense.
And I thought it was a fantastic game to watch. I mean, you wanted to come out on the winning end because it had a lot of ups and downs. It was exciting. But you had different guys. Brad, look, what James Bishop's done, he's one of the top 5 scorers in the country.
Yeah.
Adams has really found a home here.
great.
Maximus has been a freshman who's finding his way. Those big 3. Ricky Lindo does a lot of the dirty work. We need Hunter Dean. He's doing well. But Brown's kind of come out of nowhere. Can I give him a little credit for how well he's playing?
He's done a great job defensively, first off. He's been impactful on the glass. And he's finished a lot of plays near the rim, which obviously for a guy his size, he's going to get some of those opportunities with the attention that our guards get. And he's been good finishing, so I'm very proud of him. Can
I give the assistants credit? Because that guy's got, hey, I was here in
the
September.
Staff's done an incredible job with him.
He has gotten better, and that's coming with an upside because in the A10 you're going to need a bigger guy.
I'm going to give my staff credit too. Like we lose to St. Louis, and I'm disappointed because I thought we had our chances. And as you know, with a quick turnaround, your staff's got to help you get refocused. You can't be reliving what happened. And when you have 3 or 4 days, it's kind of easy.
Sure.
When you've got to come back the next morning, move past that game, kind of put it away, and then move on to a game plan. Not really a practice, but a game plan to institute.
Especially with only 6 or 7 guys, you can't practice.
So the staff is doing a great job of helping me get focused and then helping the team get focused.
But Gary Williams would be proud of you. I saw you pressing a little more. Tell us about your press.
I told my wife, Julie, that this morning. I said, hey, Jimmy and Coach Williams would be happy that we did some pressing. But, yeah, I felt like, with Aduro's ability to score both on the block and off the elbow, I didn't want the game for them to just be walking up the floor, get him the ball in his spots, and then he's just a difficult cover.
He's very good.
We doubled him. He's a terrific player. We doubled him and things like that. But I thought maybe the press would help speed the game up, and maybe it wouldn't be that. And I think for the most part, it was pretty good.
I thought it worked really well, and it gets Lindo moving. Also, I noticed at the end of the game, you kind of said Aduro's not going to beat us. They had a different person take the jump shot than you wanted, and it worked your way.
Yeah.
No, you have to play the odds that way sometimes. Yeah. And because Aduro has a chance to play in the NBA. I do want to close with this, and if you could talk to the fans. You have Dayton coming up in a nationally televised game, and St. Joe's coming up. And Georgia's Army, if they're going to travel, and I was impressed. I know the students weren't fully back, the band's back, the dance team's back, the cheerleaders. It makes a difference. This is a great place to play. But this is a big homestand. Dayton, right there on the bubble for the NCAA, and then St. Joe's, 2 home games. Talk to the fans and tell us what you need from us.
Well, certainly. I mean, we want to pack the Smith Center. I mean, we can create a big time environment here, and it starts with Georgia's Army. Starts with the rest of our fans coming out. School's back in session. You got the preseason really favorite in the league. And, quite honestly, I mean, I look at this 6 games to start. When we came back from Hawaii and we're like, hey, we got to go on the road 3 times to Richmond, Loyola, and Mason, and then home against UMass, St. Louis, and Dayton. Man, I think that's a very difficult stretch for anybody in the league. And we're in position to come out of this pretty good. And I think, we need to create a great environment here on Saturday.
Well, you've done a great job with that. And we both know that comes to the whole community. You can feel the buzz on campus. Also comes, as you said, your director of operations, who we have the women's basketball staff coming on. Caitlyn Isler for the women's going to tell us about the good and bad of what goes on. Being the director of operations, that means you handle everything.
Not an easy job.
Seriously. Like, have you seen my silhouette? Sheesh, it's giving main character energy. Like, grab the bag and start to fade.
Our best flavors just got better. Truly Hard Seltzer.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. I'm Julian Coltre. When you're putting together a top-level staff, there is so much quality that you have to do. And arguably no position when it comes to basketball is of more importance than the director of basketball operations. And I have the absolute pleasure to be joined by the Dobo of the GW women's basketball team, Caitlyn Isler. Caitlyn, how are you feeling today?
I'm happy to be here. You know, this is a little different. I'm not used to being in the bright lights, more the behind the scenes. So I'm ready to roll, though.
Well, I'll ask you a first question, which is an easy one. What is more of a heart-pulsing moment for you? Is it the end of the game where you have to manage everything that's going on? You got to know how many timeouts there are, or is it come on the show right now?
Probably the show. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've grown over the years, and I don't really games aren't nerve-wracking to me anymore. So, you know, I have my little play sheet, my little call sheet that I know how many timeouts we have, how many the opponent has. So this is a little different. So probably this.
Seasoned veteran. You've been with Coach McCombs now for 5 years. Last time she was on the show, we talked about her remembering her first win now that she has 150. Yeah. What about you? 5 years ago, what was it like getting a chance to meet Coach and really start building that bond with her?
Yeah, I mean, I had just come out of college, right? I was coming out of grad school, so your first big-time interview, you know, you got a lot of nerves, and you go in to this head coach's office, and you're like, oh, man, like, I kind of made it, you know? So I think over the 5 years, like, our relationship has continued to develop, which has made my job easier, probably her job easier. You get to know each other better on the basketball court, off, you know, obviously off. And, I mean, I've grown. I was just a 24-year-old at the time, now almost 30, so the relationship just continues to develop, which has been great. So
take us through a typical day in the life, I guess, so to speak, of a director of basketball operations.
Well, every day is definitely different. So that's what I enjoy the most about it. You know, that every day I come to work, I think I know what I'm expecting to maybe have happen, and then it's completely off key. Mostly in season, it's focused a lot on travel. Obviously, we're traveling all over the place now in A10 season. You know, whether that's a flight, a bus trip. Do a lot too with the different departments here on campus, the liaison kind of with compliance, housing, meals, making sure our kids have food to eat, that kind of stuff. And then also facilities. You know, we have a lot of different teams here that use the facility, so making sure that we're all have our own time and we're not interfering with everyone else's time. So that's kind of a typical day, but like I said, what you think it's going to be like, it always turns out different.
And
so.
Be impossible for you to really tell us every single thing that goes into what you have to do on a day-to-day basis. Backtrack a little bit. You said you were coming out of grad school when you had the chance to meet Coach McCombs and be able to join her staff. Did you always sort of know that this is what you want to do? You want to be really the heart blood of the women's basketball team and how you manage everything and make sure everything gets done?
Yeah, so I mean, I was lucky enough to work when I was going through college. I worked at Ohio State, which was at the time a top 10 program and still is as today. And that's kind of where I got my start. And I grew up with someone by the name of Beth Howe, who's the director of operations at Ohio State, and I kind of got to see how she operated, and I was like, you know, this is, like, I could see myself doing this. I feel like I have a little personality to me, and I'm really competitive, and this was kind of a way that I could stay with that. So, you know, learning a lot from her back at Ohio State and all the details that go into how the program and makes it run, that's kind of just something I was like, hey, this is a nice little adrenaline rush. I like it. So that's kind of how I got started. And then it was probably about my junior year of college that I really was like, hey, can I spend a lot more time with you, not really move into the coaching world and do the operations side. So that's kind of how I got started.
When you talk about all the different, you know, directors of ops that you have had the chance to learn under, is it almost like a fraternity or sorority, so to speak, all these people with a shared interest in the field, but also people who know what it takes to get the job done? Yeah,
I mean, you know, I'm blessed to be in the position I am. If you think about it, there's only, about 350 Division I basketball programs, men's and women's, so there's only about 700 of us worldwide, really. Yeah. So you kind of have this connection that you tell stories of to help each other, because, you know, we've all been to different places, we all travel to different schools, so what that kind of is like. And, I mean, yeah, there's kind of a fraternity. We normally catch up more so at the Final Four, because in the season you kind of are so enthralled in what's going on that you don't really get to connect. I connect through social media still, kind of, you know, like, oh, hey, what happened on your trip? Or, you know, you see someone's tweet or Instagram, or like kind of steal ideas from people. You don't like to steal, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, that would be a good team bonding activity or something good to do while we go to that city. So that's kind of more the connection we have, like fun stuff to do while we're on the road.
When it comes to booking everything and making sure when you go to each city, you know where to stay, how does it sort of work in between with the different Dobos?
Yeah, so I mean, we're lucky here at GW. We have, we work with Anthony Travel, who kind of makes my job easier. So we kind of have set hotels, like we have a list of, hey, we only really might like to stay at a certain hotel, and then they kind of send you a list, and then we kind of build it out. But what I don't think a lot of people know too is like, we plan this stuff out in August. As soon as that season, the schedule comes out, we're planning for that. So it's we're getting almost to February now, but this stuff has been planned out since August. So it's kind of just re-catching up on that kind of stuff. And then you have to have good people around you to make trips successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally understand
Yeah.
that. You talked about something that people might not know. Well, we want to hear what people might not know about Coach Caroline McCombs. You spend the most time with her out of anybody on the staff.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, what's something that the fans maybe don't know about Coach that would be really interesting or worthwhile?
Yeah, I probably honestly know too much about her, and I'm not going to give away all of her secrets, but I could probably, any restaurant, any drink, if we're going to Starbucks or something, like I got her order down pat. I will tell you that her GW deli order, which maybe, we can get this named, like McCombs or,
McCombs.
something, I don't know. So she gets fried egg and cheese on wheat toast with a little black pepper. The little black pepper is the key for her. So that's probably something that I know. Like I said, I have a lot more things to know, but I'll keep those to
I like
myself.
that.
So yeah.
A little bit of black
Yeah,
pepper.
just a little.
Last question for you. Obviously, jobs don't always last forever, but you've gotten the chance now to work with Coach McCombs. How much more do you want to continue to be by her side and work with her? And is there anything in the future that you would love to do?
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, when I went into my job interview with her, I told her I don't want to get into coaching. I did not want to get into that. I like the operations side. Ultimately, I would like to work in college administration. So that's kind of like my next step, I guess you'd say. But currently right now, I mean, I love living here. I love working at GW. I love DC. So, when that next step comes, I don't know. You would hope maybe sooner than later, but you never know what that's going to entail. And like I said, the team here, the people here are great. So hopefully someday down the road we'll be an administrator, but for now we'll enjoy here.
Well,
so.
for the time being, I know I speak for Coach McCombs, the staff, and everybody to say we are lucky to have you on the sideline because of how great that you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for joining the program, Caitlyn. When we come back, Kevin Burke is going to be joined by the matriarch of the GW coaching tree, gymnastics own Margie Foster-Cunningham.
Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
And welcome back to Raise High at GW. I'm now joined by the matriarch of GW coaches, Margie Foster-Cunningham. Welcome back. Third trip on Raise High at GW.
I know. I'm a veteran.
You absolutely are a veteran, and we'll have you back as many times as you would like.
Thank
but
you.
let's talk about your team. Coming off an Eagle championship last season, got to do it on your home turf, on podium. What was that moment like for your program?
It was fantastic. I mean, it was a challenging year coming off of COVID for all teams. But for our team, it really has been the kickoff for, I think, our success for this year. They were united. They learned how to fight when it wasn't perfect. And those are traits that this team has just adopted, and they're showing already this year. It was a great way to end the season, to have the ring, on your finger that the athletes talk about all the time, to actually achieve that. They put their words into work and they got the ring, and they are proud of it. And this weekend we just did the ring ceremony at our Lindsay Ferris meet, and we had all of our team there, the whole team. They're very proud.
What was that moment like as a coach when you're seeing it all the time on social media now, the unboxing of rings and things like that, and their actual face of, oh my God, this is real. What's that like for you as a coach to go through that?
That joy is just priceless. You know the work that's gone in behind that as the coach. You've been with them every single day. You know what their aspirations are. You know what their dreams are. And sometimes you know that they say they want to win because they're supposed to say that, but when you see them actually put the work in to get the results, I'm very, very proud of them.
And speaking of putting the work in, let's go back to where you were way back in 1984 was the
Yes.
first time you were here. We haven't really talked about how you got this job, but it's kind of a unique story. It wasn't a interview with the AD and here we go and stay for 38 years, but it's an interesting story how you got your start.
I was teaching school at the National Cathedral School, and the coach here at GW knew that I was in town because 2 of my sisters were competing for GW. That's how she knew I was here. And she was getting ready to have a baby in February, and she knew she needed help. So she called me up and said, hey, would you like to join us and help us out? And it was a dream for me because I had applied to every open job in the country coming out of graduate school at Penn State, and there were just no openings. And so I knew I had to be patient to get into college coaching. And talk about being at the right place at the right time. I was able to stay here. Kate Stanges, who was the coach, Kate Faber Stanges, she decided not to come back after her baby, so I stayed on as interim head coach that year and was hired by Lynn George, the women's athletic director at the time, as the head coach for the following year, and I've been here ever since.
And you were saying you talked with your husband. You moved here for a year, you were thinking?
We were just going to stay here for a year, and he had a job here in D.C. We had just gotten married, and here we are, 38 years later.
That's wild. 1984, we're going back to the Reagan administration. You've seen a
Yes.
lot over 38 years, but what's the secret to your staying power? Because you said the joy that you see from your athletes, moments like the Eagle Championship really stick, but 38 years is a true commitment.
Yeah. You know, I don't count things. I really don't. We were talking about that as well. And being around student athletes that are so talented and just the elite level of this university, I'm just drawn to that. And every year you have a different team that has a different makeup, different people. And it's a challenge to get people to do what they can do. And I love that. I love helping people succeed. And you're just an environment and culture here of success. And I really felt like I could learn with them and do it here and had all kinds of support from the university. And I can't believe it's been that long.
Absolutely.
Can't believe.
It's crazy. But let's talk about your team this year. You mentioned the Lindsey Ferris invite, your highest opening score since 2017, over 195 already.
Yeah.
Talk about the promise that this team has and the potential to build off of last year.
I just feel as though this is even though it's a young team, it's a mature team in the sense that they understand that there's no shortcut, there's no hack, there's no sweatless solution to success. They understand they have to put the work in, and they've been really united. I mean, you talk about culture with teams, how critical that is to success. It's kind of organic with my team. This team is very united. They're really good to each other. They have a way of holding each other accountable that is endearing to each other, where they're pushing each other as well. And as a coach, you can't ask for anything more. It's not just me that this is our standard of excellence. Everyone has to live up to it. They're with me. And that unity is going to be something that really helps us get through the year. And I also think that, we had a great opening weekend, but even at practice this morning, they're talking about, it was successful, but there are little failures inside that success, and just honing in on those little things that are just going to make us elevate. And they're already in that mindset, in that mind space. And that elite mindset is what's going to do it for us this year. It's not just talent, it's that fighting spirit that's going to get them through. And if you watch them this weekend, they're just fighters. And I'm with them on that. I love it.
Away we go. And it certainly helps when you have somebody like Deja Chambliss, who's all around everything, pun intended.
Yes.
But she's using her extra year of eligibility from the COVID season, and it was a big thing to have her come back. And when you have somebody with a young team, like you said, to lead them and teach them about the culture that you've instilled, that certainly helps.
That and her efficiencies academically, how efficient she is in the gym. She knows the discipline of excellence. She knows the importance of the details. These are things that it's nice when you have a leader like her to show them the way. Hannah Munnelly is also one of our captains. Nora Hausman and Libby Garfoot are both other 2 seniors, and they've all embraced the leadership of the team. So there's not just one person doing it. And it's really effective right now. They're a really united group.
And one last thing for you. You're on the road for next couple weeks here. I think
Yeah.
you're coming back mid-February, right?
Yes.
Got a couple meets at home. It's a spectacle whenever you're at home here. What's it like for those that aren't able to or haven't attended before, a home event at the Smith Center? What's that like for you?
It is, when you see the crowd just cheering on the girls and the energy it gives to the athletes, they give it right back to them. I mean, it's an event that they will enjoy. They should come out to the Smith Center and see this event. It's joy. It's seeing people do things that they love, fighting for it. You're rooting for them the whole time. And the audience is really, truly a part of our success. So we really encourage people to come out to the Smith Center.
You absolutely have to come check it out one time at least and come back. Yeah. You'll keep coming back once you come out for one time. All right, same time next year?
I'll be here.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah.
For Margie Foster-Cunningham, I'm Kevin Burke. For all of us here at GW, thanks so much for tuning in to Race High at GW. We'll talk to you next time.